SecurityX risk questions often ask you to compare quantitative and qualitative risk assessment. Both are useful, neither is magic. Quantitative risk assessment tries to express risk using numbers, usually money, probability, frequency, and expected loss. Qualitative risk assessment expresses risk using categories, ratings, rankings, and expert judgment. At the senior level, the real skill is not declaring one method better. The real skill is choosing the method that fits the decision, the data quality, the audience, and the cost of analysis. Quantitative assessment answers, what could this risk cost, and how often might it happen? Qualitative assessment answers, how serious is this risk relative to other risks when exact numbers are uncertain or not worth the effort? SecurityX expects you to understand the trade-off. Numbers can make decisions clearer, but bad numbers can create false confidence. Categories are faster and easier to communicate, but vague categories can hide disagreement. A mature security program often uses both. Start with quantitative risk assessment. In a quantitative approach, you estimate values such as asset value, exposure factor, annualized rate of occurrence, single loss expectancy, and annualized loss expectancy. Single loss expectancy is the expected loss from one event. Annualized loss expectancy is the expected loss per year. For example, if a payment outage could cost $200,000 per incident, and leadership expects that type of outage once every 5 years, the annualized loss expectancy is about $40,000 per year. Those numbers can help compare the cost of a control with the expected loss reduction, but quantitative risk depends on assumptions. How reliable is the incident frequency estimate? How accurate is the asset value? Are we measuring direct losses only, or also legal, regulatory, reputational, and operational impact? If the inputs are weak, the output can look precise while still being wrong. Qualitative risk assessment uses ratings such as low, medium, high, and critical. It may use likelihood and impact matrices, expert workshops, scenario analysis, control maturity reviews, and heat maps. This approach is useful when historical data is limited, when speed matters, or when the goal is prioritization rather than financial modeling. For example, a company assessing a new third-party SaaS provider may not know the exact annualized loss expectancy of a breach, but it can still rate the provider as high risk if the service stores sensitive data, lacks strong audit logging, has weak contract terms, and integrates with privileged workflows. Qualitative analysis helps decision makers compare risks even when exact dollars are uncertain. Here is the enterprise scenario. A healthcare organization is deciding whether to fund stronger identity controls for clinicians accessing patient systems remotely. Security has seen phishing attempts increase. Operations says remote access is essential for patient care. Finance asks whether the control is worth the cost. The privacy office is concerned about protected health information. A senior security architect could start with qualitative assessment to rank the risk. Likelihood is elevated because phishing attempts are increasing. Impact is high because compromised clinical access could expose patient data or disrupt care. Control weakness exists if authentication is inconsistent or exceptions are unmanaged. That qualitative analysis may be enough to justify urgency. But if finance needs budget justification, the architect may add quantitative reasoning. Estimate incident response cost, regulatory exposure, downtime cost, potential notification cost, and the likelihood reduction from stronger authentication and conditional access. The final recommendation does not need perfect math. It needs transparent assumptions, defensible ranges, and a decision that the business can understand. Use this decision framework. Question 1. Do we have reliable data for frequency, loss, and control effectiveness? If yes, quantitative analysis may help. Question 2. Do we need fast prioritization with uncertain data? If yes, qualitative analysis may be better. Question 3. Is the audience asking for budget justification, insurance, or cost-benefit comparison? Use quantitative estimates or ranges. Question 4. Is the audience comparing many risks across business units? Use qualitative scoring, then refine the highest risks with quantitative analysis. Original knowledge check. A security team must prioritize risks across 20 business applications before next quarter's budget cycle. Historical loss data is incomplete, but application owners can estimate business criticality, data sensitivity, internet exposure, control maturity, and recovery requirements. What is the best first assessment method? A quantitative only because every risk must be converted to exact annualized loss. B. Qualitative scoring, because the team needs relative prioritization with incomplete data. C. No assessment, because incomplete data makes risk analysis invalid. D. Vulnerability severity only, because CVSS replaces risk assessment. The best answer is B. With incomplete loss data and many applications to compare, qualitative scoring is the practical first step. It can rank applications by likelihood and impact using the best available judgment. Later, the highest risks can receive deeper quantitative analysis if funding or executive approval requires it. A quantitative model with fake precision would not be better, ignoring the risk would be worse. And vulnerability severity alone does not capture business criticality, data sensitivity, exposure, or recovery impact. The common mistake is assuming quantitative means mature and qualitative means immature. That is not true. A sloppy spreadsheet with invented dollar values is not mature risk management. A well-run qualitative workshop with clear criteria, calibrated scoring, and documented assumptions can be very useful. The second mistake is treating a heat map as the final answer. Heat maps help communicate priorities, but they should not replace ownership, treatment decisions, timelines, and evidence. Here's the rule of thumb. Use quantitative analysis when the decision needs financial comparison and the inputs are defensible. Use qualitative analysis when the decision needs prioritization, communication, and judgment under uncertainty. Use both when the stakes are high and the first pass identifies risks worth deeper analysis. For Cert Path Lab, this is SecurityX Video 7. In the next governance, risk, and compliance lesson, we will look at third-party risk and the first questions a security architect should ask.